Tom, thank you very much. Um, let's see. I think I have just a two, three slides. This is the first. So unfortunately, Doug Hargis is not here, but he was basically to me. I even wrote an editorial where the title was about Doug because he was really the heart and soul of the journal. And even he really felt it was like it was he cared about it. He cared about it. He worried about it. And this was from OFC in 2005, a little photo. And I think he's been it for like over 20 years, which means more than 50% of the time it's under Doug. I mean, Doug has really made it happen. And absolutely wonderful person. Next, please. So uh, the two people that I interacted most with was Paul Shoemate and Linda Matarazzo. Linda was running the Leos publications. Paul was the executive director, but Paul, you heard from Tom about starting a journal. So Paul had a lot of experience also with the IEEE Photonics Technology letters and starting that one. And Paul also cared a lot. He had been part, even before being executive director of Leos, he was involved with the coordinating committees, the steering committees of JLT, these multi-society things. So he had, tremendous also just insight and um, uh, I think love of the journal, really. A lot of his own work was published in JLT as well. Unfortunately, both of them are no longer with us, but they were great. I relied on them tremendously. You heard from Tom about page budgets. You know, I'm a researcher. What do I know about page budgets? But I quickly learned that if you overestimate or underestimate, you could lose money. I was like, how is that possible? But and Paul was the master of page budgets. He taught me about them. Next, please. So the other thing was I was editor from like 2001 to 2007 ish. And during that time, as many of you know, that's the beginning of the cell phones. When people were really, you had your cell phone, you were starting to do your activities also in the car. So there was an IEEE summer topicals up in Montreal, above Montreal, and I was driving from the airport up to the IEEE to I think it was in Mont Blanc. But one thing was happening was that I was the cell phone was dying. It kept on dying, and then I had to like be recharging it. So I was calling up Paul and Linda and Doug, but that call was mostly with Paul actually, and I kept on getting dropped and then coming back in, and also I don't know if you it's hard to see, but Route 15 and Route 117, these were these two highways that it was really funny. I can't I don't know for those of you who have like in Canada, Est and Ouest, I have no clue if it's East and West. I don't nothing. So but and I knew you had to get onto the 117 to get up to the thing. The 15 was the main highway, but they crossed each other several times. It was before Google Maps. So every time I saw 117, I was getting off. And I must have gotten off like 10 times. And and I kept on asking for directions at a gas station, but nobody spoke English. So I'm getting on the phone and off the phone with Paul. Okay. Also around this time, there was a dead spot between my home and in USC where I would call Linda a lot, and there was a dead zone, and I would drop. The call would drop, and so this was like a few months apart. Paul pulls me over to the side, and he gave me a little bit of tough love, and he said, about how to really, and he did it privately. Nobody ever knew, but about how to really work with other people when you're on the phone, and probably not be on the phone, especially when it might drop. And it was a little frustrating. And another time when Linda also, she basically said, it just kept on dropping, and it was her time. I had to respect her time, and boy, oh boy, she was absolutely right. So I learned a lot in sort of those early days about how to work. Um, what's interesting, again, just to pick up from what Tom was saying, was One of the things that when I became editor, which I had no idea beforehand, was this issue of the coordinating committee, the steering committee. All I knew, you submit papers. You're even when you're an associate editor, you don't really know about these committees, but they become a big deal. And so you think of like Forrest Gump. What did Forrest Gump say? Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what gonna get. That was not JLT. I thought like there's all these societies would be pulling in different directions, and all of a sudden things were going to become a little chaotic, and that's not what happened at all. You knew what you were going to get. You look back if when you look back 40 years ago, high quality in certain areas that you're always picking up the new technologies, different societies coming together to champion, to provide insight, to provide help. Uh, that happened. It's amazing. What you set up, Tom, is still basically the same structure. So you open up JLT, you know what you're going to get, which is a high quality journal, and at the time for a very long time, and today, right, a lot of conference papers where you want to expand on them in a high quality venue. It's JLT in this area. So again, I, I don't think I came away from one steering coordinating committee without a bunch of action items from people who suggested things. So it was Tom, it was Karen Lou, because there was a few years where there wasn't an OFC special issue, and they said, well, that's a really important thing. We should have that again, and then we started it again, and I think that's and it's continued. It's looked forward to every year. Um, my last steering and coordinating committee, we took a vote. The committee took a vote. I excused myself right afterwards to call Connie to say because I was all excited because she was going to be the next editor. So I remember leaving the meeting downstairs in Piscataway. I was like in the hallway. So anyway, with that, I'll turn it over to Connie. Thank you.